Urbanization is one of the major themes underlying payment volume growth across the world. In China, it's an interesting story. It presents a little bit differently than you would see in some of the other major BRIC markets. Whereas in China, it's a bit different. Some of the major cities like Shanghai or Beijing, we're actually expecting erosion in the population over the next 5 years or so. So even though it is one of the major emerging markets, we're seeing something that is a little bit different than you're seeing in Russia, India, and also Brazil. Now it is important because it's one of the major kind of payment themes that we look at, urbanization. It's a way to catalyze card payment volume spend as people move from a rural setting to an urban setting. They may be exposed to mainstream financial services for the first time. And as they move into the city, they can see that the financial card becomes an urban essential in a lot of ways. Also, people as they move, transition from a rural to an urban setting, may be more likely to become banked as well. Another of the things that I think a lot of people may not know about China, just in terms of the expenditure climate going forward, one of the major expenditure growth areas going forward is air travel. One of the top 3 things that we're expecting over the next 5 years or so. And this is important, especially to card payment volume spend, because as people purchase tickets, they may tend to buy airline tickets online. They may tend to buy them using plastic. Also, there's a potential lift in terms of buying air travel as someone goes out, goes on vacation, goes on a business trip. For example, they may be more likely to use plastic. Another thing that I think a lot of people may not know about China is also, if you really analyze the wealthy or the decile 10, which would be the wealthiest 10% in a market, presents a little bit differently than some of the other emerging markets. The wealthy, the top 10% in China, account for roughly a third of all expenditure in the market. And how it's a little bit different is that if you look at the expenditure or the amount of income that's actually converted to expenditure in China, the Chinese elite look a lot like the rest of the larger population. They adhere to the same saver mentality. They convert roughly 57 to 60% of their income to expenditure. So that's something that's a little bit different than some of the other major markets that you see. Now, if the Chinese elite were to spend at the same level of conversion of income to expenditure as a Brazilian, which would be roughly 75%, there's a lot of potential volume that could be unlocked in that situation. Over the next 5 years or so, our projections in terms of card payment volume growth, one of the interesting things, and all these factors kind of dovetail into this kind of final analysis, but that we're expecting China's absolute volume growth to be larger than all of the other 6 regions. So the Chinese payment volume opportunity, as we know, is enormous, but you're talking about 1.2 trillion roughly that we're expecting in card payment volume growth, absolute volume growth going forward, which would be larger than any other region in the world.